Hey guys, what's up? This is Damnation-n-Hellfire, and I'm joined tonight by Shane and Mike. Mike, what's your in-game name?
Believe it or not, it's DPS 6 man,
Okay,
man, and it has nothing to do with the Battle Pirates DPS insignia.
gotcha. And of course, Shane there is Shane Howe.
Hello.
So tonight we're gonna talk. We got the new FM Blues is the name of tonight's show. So yeah, it should be an interesting one. Well, let me go ahead and get some screen share going, and we'll start with slides and go from there. So let's see. First thing, we got the locator update. They've done an overhaul on the locator UI to clean things up. We've also increased the number of bookmarks that we can have. I'm really liking this new UI. What do you guys think? I think it's amazing.
Yeah, I like it. I've been using it, and it's quite helpful.
I think that probably one of the best updates they've done in a long, long time.
It's definitely crisp.
It lets you sort as well, so you got the sort feature on the locators or your bookmarks. At least for your book. That's nice.
If they could have everything in the game be as useful and look as good as this, nobody would ever have any complaints.
Yep.
So
all day, I like it.
Yeah, definitely kudos to whichever one of the development team was working on this particular thing. Definitely shout out to you. You did a great job. That might be the only positive thing I have to say tonight, but we'll see as we go. FM overhaul. And as usual, we're just going through the news part for the first half of the show. We'll get into the fun stuff later. So they've moved away from the checkpoint milestone system that the FM previously was. And now we're going to kind of like a raid, basically. You're going to go out, you're going to hit targets for points, and then you'll be able to spend those points on the specific things that you want to in each different prize pool. And then once you have all the prizes claimed, you can then start redeeming for chests, which will have like either research tokens or structure tokens or any of that kind of stuff, kind of like we had before, only they're in chests now, and you get tokens in uranium or tokens and whatever. New prizes this week, they added the sprint anti-missile and the alloy armors and the different prize pools. So first we'll talk about the sprint countermeasure. Shane?
All right. This is straight up countermeasure. It has nothing to do with the Trident previous. It's 1.3 million points, 250,000 at a time. But it's got a projectile speed of 650. Is that right? Yeah. And then accuracy of 70 with a range of 60 and 2 salvo, and its reload time is like 2.68. Okay, it's made for shooting down missiles, rockets, and UAVs. The one thing that you need to pay attention to on this weapon is I think you'll need to make a choice. Are you going to go with phalanxes or are you going to go with sprints? Okay, because apparently this is going to outrange that. And if one anti-missile type weapon shoots at a missile, another one will not shoot at that missile. So if this weapon outranges your phalanxes will never fire, because this thing's reload rate is really a lot faster than that of the phalanx. So it'll totally out time it all the time. So it'll just really make the phalanx inoperative if you have them together. So keep in mind on that. And if you get rid of phalanxes, well, you're usually getting rid of some of those defense boosts that you get. So it's a tough decision that you're going to have to make if it's worth it or not.
Well, yeah, I really wish they would make all these different countermeasures work in tandem with each other a lot better, so it wouldn't be so difficult to try to figure out what you want to use in what given scenario.
I just see a lot of people trying to mix these things together, and it's not going to work. and I just wanted to give them a heads up on it.
I know I myself haven't claimed it yet or equipped it to anything, so I have no idea what the actual usefulness of it is. Has anybody claimed it yet?
No.
I have not.
I know, because I've heard some people saying when it comes to shooting out in the cold snaps, it seemed like only having like one of them on was better than having 5 of them on. But that was a post I saw on the forums, but then that post got taken down pretty quickly, so I don't know if that was misinformation or what, but time will tell how effective these actually are in the long run, I suppose. But I would definitely say until more information gets out on their usefulness and how they work, don't go whole hog and start refitting everything with them right away until a little more information is out on them.
Yeah, because in the end, we don't know how functional it really is yet. You know how
Exactly.
they are about having to tweak something 3 days after it hits the water. Oh, we didn't realize that wasn't working. Oh,
right.
I done refit them on and then refit back because they sucked, and now you're telling me they work right, and I got to refit again. You know, that kind of.
We're not in the complaint department yet, Shane.
Just saying, be patient, people. You know.
Right. Then we also have all the alloy armor CTXs this week. So, Mike, you want to talk about them some?
Yeah, we'll give it a try here. So it looks like we got 3 alloy armor CTXs, 1 through 3, 1 for each tier, obviously. The tier 2 gives you just a small weight increase, the explosive defense of 15%, concussive of 18. CTX2, next step up, obviously. Tier 3, a little more weight, explosive of 30%, concussive defense of 37%. And then the Tier 4, CTX3, another step up on weight and another step up on your explosive and defense at 45% and 56%. So these are $1.25 million for the CTX3, 275,000 CTX1, and I guess I own the CTX2, so I couldn't get the number for that one. So
Gotcha. You must already redeemed it.
I must have.
Good special, I think, especially considering the current rate format we're in, because anything that will buff up those 2 defenses is good. But there again, it's going to take a little bit of testing to find out if it's necessarily better than ablative for your particular fleet that you're using. I myself will be mostly interested, I think, to see how it works with hunters. I don't know that I'm going to change my bang tooth from the way they're currently set up, but it might be interesting to see how this works with hunters.
I was wondering the same thing, because the ablative is just explosive, right?
Right.
And that's like at 80, I think. And so you're going to drop down. You're going to split the defenses between explosive and concussive then, as opposed to all explosive. So yeah.
Yeah, it seems like the hunters definitely tend to suffer on the concussive side of things. That's why the most successful builds we've seen for them run 3, if not 4, of the concussive deflection armors. I'm just not sure if by switching to this, the defense you would lose on your explosive part that you get from ablative would make a big difference, and they would then take a lot of damage from explosive. So there again, it'll take a little bit of testing and some tweaking to figure out exactly what the best combinations are.
Yeah, just quickly, I have one hunter that I'm fixing to refit to put some armor on it, and I'm thinking I'm going to throw one of these on as well, and just one shift and see how it does.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to keep us updated on the page of what your tests find as far as how much damage this one takes as opposed to the other ones.
I think we can do that. So that's about it on the alloy armor.
All right. We also this week had Tech Up 2 TLC. New TLC, you're going to get chances to earn 5 new components, as well as a chance to catch up on 4 items from the original Tech Up TLC. And once again, they're coming to us in random chests because, you know, we all loved that so much the first time around. They decided they'd do it for us the second time. And if you get a chest and you already had something, you're going to get a great 1-hour ship repair token. Yay. But anyway, yeah, we'll get to that in the later section. But, you know, you're going to get your deflection upgrade, which you can put on assault, skirmish, garrison, siege, or generalist things. It's tier 6, and it will up your ship deflection by 200. And then you're also going to get one for your structure deflection that'll add 200 to that. So 2 deflection boosts. I don't know. Numbers are okay, I guess. They're nothing that I'm going to write home about. But, you know, if you get in that position sometimes where you're like, you got that last special slot and you're not sure what to throw in there, this could potentially be something you might want to look at.
Yeah, it's
my
definitely a nice filler.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion on anything that says upgrades is they should all just be gotten rid of for the most part. But, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Well, these are stackable also. Like
yeah.
upgrade.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, that is correct.
Okay.
And one thing, just to go back on the print drops, let's say you got everything last time, which fortunately I did. My first 5 runs, I did get all the new stuff, and the 6th one I got a 1-day token, so I'm not going to do 7 and 8 because the damage isn't worth the not 1-day token, 1-hour token.
Yeah. I mean, that prize to me seems kind of way off. You know, you take like 5 hours of damage to get a 1-hour repair token. Or,
yeah.
You know, I mean, I haven't actually done this time around yet, so I don't know what the damage is like. But it definitely seems counterintuitive to me to take, you know, 4 or 5 hours worth of damage to get a 1-hour token to repair.
Yeah, and that really the first 5 targets are fairly easy. I think the first 3 you can almost do with Apollos that are fairly well built. And then certainly the Skyfire Phoenix combination can do them. And then with the Rudolph or whatever people are calling it, the Fangtooth can take care of those pretty easy. Or Hellwraith.
We also had the ion thrusters and the sonic targeting. Shane, I think you were going to go over these. Are you there, Shane?
Yeah, the new ion thruster there. It yes, it comes out with 200% turning speed there with 16% evade. Now the evade's just like 1 tick better, but the turning speed is, since this isn't in the retro lab yet. I don't know if it's going to be. I think it should be, since the number 3 actually outmatches this one. The researchable ion thruster, because it's retroed at 205. So unless that hits the retro lab, I don't really see a reason for swapping it out. Now, as far as the sonic targeting there, sonic targeting 4, big increase on sonic range for ships. I mean, it doubled what sonic targeting 3 did, which sonic targeting 3 was actually better than your researchable cat drive, which I think was still 30.
Well, and the sonar pods too, because I know lots of people
not
use
cat drive, but yeah, sonar pods. Yeah, they had what, 30?
I believe so.
So I mean, that is a really big increase on the sonar range ability of a ship. You know, I've already swapped that one out on my one Fangtooth, and I just definitely got to see more of the tiger sharks that hide out from you and stuff. So it was a decent boon. But the ion thrusters, I don't really see a reason for refitting that, because the old one's still better. unless
and
it is the Retro Lab.
the nice thing about the Sonic targeting too is that the weight increase doesn't go up from what Sonic targeting 3 was.
Oh
It's
yeah,
still,
definitely, for sure.
yes, still the same 13%. You know, and normally as we get higher up and you get more stuff, the weight goes up. And on this time, that was not the case. So that's definitely a good thing.
Exactly. So it's a direct swap out.
Anybody else have anything to say about these guys?
No. One's a good one. One's eh.
Yeah, ion thrusters, if it gets put in the retro lab, it'll be definitely, I'll be switching out all mine. But currently, like you said, I'm just going to kind of leave things the way they are. Which, honestly, I'm not opposed to having to, with doing that, because that just means less time I have to spend on refits. You know, because it was bad enough when we had to do escalation refits from shit we get in the FM, but now we're having to do escalation refits from stuff we get in this DLC, and it's overload. We also have nuke accelerators. Mike, this is on you.
Okay, let me give it a shot. Of course, it's Reaver Tech, nuclear accelerators. Gives you a higher speed. It's Tech 6. It's pretty heavy. It looks like it will retro because it's ranked 1. But you get some ballistic accuracy of 40%, ballistic range of 50%. Get some splash, 40%. Splash is always good. And a bonus combat speed of 20.6. So obviously, if it's starting out at rank 1, it's only going to get better, I guess, when it gets 15. So, you know.
Whatever the buffs are for it. Was if it's in that same group as, was it in the nuke accelerator group?
I did not check that out. But,
let me look real quick. And then see what the nuke accelerator group gave.
Yeah, and it looks like it's good for ballistics, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that the weight, the accuracy, and the range are all the same as you get on regular nuke accelerator, but on the 2 they did add the splash.
Right.
So, you know, there's a lot of cannons out there nowadays that have splash that this would be really good for. Like, I myself will probably end up refitting this to my Zeloses that I do the FM with, just because the Quake cannons that are on it do splash, and this will increase that splash, and anything that, you know, helps with that is a good thing. And as far as, is anybody checking to see if it's currently in the retrofit lab? Because I had not.
She's doing that right now, I think.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for now. It's not in the ballistic systems, but
yeah, I'm sure it would be at the same spot.
Yeah, nuke accelerator was actually in the compound engine systems, so with speed upgrades and stuff. Might have been the regular engine systems. Nuke accelerator and nuke accelerator 2. Yes, they're both in here.
Okay, awesome.
You get bonus combat speed, turning speed, and map speed. So is it just the bonus combat speed that matches any of the assets on that blueprint there? So
yes.
Just the bonus combat speed.
It starts off at 20.6.
Okay. So it'll get a 23.8% boost on that. So that's that. It is in the retro lab, and it just covers the combat speed of it, not the splash or range or accuracy or anything.
Well, and it's nice to see that they put it in with something that was already done, as opposed to what they've been liking to do lately and put it in its own category all by itself.
Yeah. We kind of get a give and take on that. Some they do and some they don't.
Yeah.
But you only get one aspect of it. So it's only going to affect your combat speed aspect of it, not the ability of it.
My personal opinion overall, and all the tech that we are seeing in this campaign, this one is probably my personal favorite, followed a close second by Sonic targeting. If you other guys were to rank them, what would you put them in at?
I like this one. I think it's going on mine as well.
Oh, all the stuff that's come out.
Well, all the stuff in this particular TLC.
Oh, sonic targeting is going to hit top with me. This one I can give and take. Most of my ballistic weapons and stuff, I don't incorporate a lot of splash. Although I would use it on my ironclad, you know. So,
And not to mention our next raid that we have coming up is going to be the siege. I mean, the next raid cycle that we have coming up, I should say, is going to be the siege style. So this will probably come in very handy in that, because that's almost always ballistics, and if they follow the trend, those ballistics are going to have some splash. So this is definitely, thinking forward, probably a component you want to have for that raid cycle.
yeah, we have to see what's coming out.
I think too, your ratings for what's best out of this TLC, a lot of it's going to have to do with if you use Z-Luces to do your FM currently or not. Because if you use Z-Luces to do your FM currently, this is by far and above the best thing out of this whole thing. But if not, then probably the sonic targeting.
And that's what I'm doing right now, because I'm resisting the change.
Yeah, well,
But we can talk about that later.
Yeah, I was going to say I have a whole theory on that, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
I think this follows, like, this is pretty much the actual news portion of new stuff. So now we're going to start to kind of get into the complaining section of the show. It's probably going to be a short show tonight, guys, because there's like really, well, it depends on how long we go on our rant for, really. But, you know, as far as the news section, there was not a lot of stuff, and everything that there was pretty short and concise and easily talked about. So now we'll start getting into the wrap-up stuff. Let's talk about Bounty. You can see by the slide that I have chosen what my thoughts on Bounty were. It's out of all the ones they've done so far, in my personal opinion, this one was a big pile of dog crap. What do you guys say?
Well, I didn't participate, but I heard all the horror stories. But yeah,
I didn't participate either. I'm kind of glad I didn't, to be honest with you.
I mean, there were, where to start, dude? There were so many. Okay, the one positive thing was you would get more grants this time because the time between them was shorter. So that was a good thing. However, then the jackpot targets, we'll call them, I think that's what they'd call them. We got so many fewer of those this time around, but they doubled the points for all the new stuff that it just was not conductive whatsoever.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't participate in it. So I mean, I didn't really go in there and look at the prize points, cost, and all that.
Well, if you remember, like last time when we got the new missiles, the new special for the new missile and all that, it was like 5K. This time, all the new stuff for the weapon and the special and the cannon that was in there for some odd reason, they were all 10K this time around. There were twice as many points. The availability of the points was not there.
Well, if they're going to do that right there, they definitely didn't need to do what they did to the PvE targets out there, which was skimping on them.
Yeah.
If they wanted to raise that up, then that should have been higher volume on the spawn rates out there and stuff. Just to be able to make those benchmarks that you mentioned, you know, besides making the points enough to get enough of the prizes in there to make it feasible of doing, you know.
Yeah,
I know. Go ahead, Mike.
Then there was still no, if you defended your base, you still didn't get any reward for that except damage to fix.
Yeah, that's funny because you actually just brought up the exact same thing that I was getting ready to say at the same time. Last I had heard that Bounty 3 is when we were supposed to start seeing stuff for defense, and lo and behold, we still got Jack for defending. And I mean, there's so many people out there currently participating in PvP in one fashion or another that take pride in defending their base, and even if they don't have, you know, basers, like they can't afford to do like the twin blade bus fleet or whatever, or now it's the King's Writ bus fleet, but they can still have a really good base defense going, and you totally alienated over half of the people who want to participate.
Yeah, that's my stance on it. I mean, if you're, I am a proud defender. I try to be. And if you're not going to cater to me, I'm not going to bother with it. You know, if you're just going to cater to the guy on the other side all the time, you just became my enemy. So I ain't gonna bother with it. It's just me.
I just, for me, I think they need to totally rework how they do bounty. I don't think any of the iterations have been all that perfect yet. I personally like, and I'm not sure how they would do it, but I'm sure there's a way you could do it. It should just be ran under the current medal system. You don't have to do all these crazy new things. Just have a weekend where you get double medals, and then you can spend medals for redeeming stuff out of the store. And not even maybe necessarily have to have, okay, the store is here for this one weekend. Have it like a store that's open all the time, and anytime that you get enough medals to purchase something, you can purchase something.
There you go.
And just doing that double medal weekend would be incentive to get people out there hitting extra, spend a little extra coin to get that stuff. You know, I mean,
whenever they were ready to get it, not at any
yeah,
specific timeline
exactly.
or anything. When they felt that they could go out there and earn some medals and go to that shop and buy that piece of equipment to strengthen their game, they could do it any time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're really trying to get people into PvP, the as they like to call the PvP curious people, you don't do it just one weekend out of the month. Do it like something that makes them want to involve themselves in it all the time. You know, and it would cut down on making it feel like it was a second raid per month, in my opinion. You know, if it's something you can actually do at your leisure, because PvP has always been something that we controlled how often we did it, and we did it at our leisure. And now you're trying to force it on us as almost a second type of raid. I don't think that's a good road. I don't think that's a good road at all.
Can't argue that. I didn't do much PvP anyway, so there wasn't much that interested me to get involved in the bounty. I did it the first time around, I think, and I don't know, did okay, but didn't excite me very much.
Well, I did it the first time. The first time I like participated pretty good, you know, and I was able to get the 2 courages and whatnot. And the second and third time both, I basically just logged in and just going off the grants. I wanted to see how I did just collecting grants, you know, what I was capable of achieving just doing that. The last time I was able to get all of the new prizes mainly just by sitting in my base doing nothing but collecting grants. You know, this time, however, sitting in my base doing nothing but collecting grants, I couldn't get any of the new stuff.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of run that test at the moment where I can see, you know, how poor little Joe Bob, who, like, you know, entered bounty just because he wanted to at least try to participate but didn't go out and hit any targets, what he could achieve. And there was a definite huge difference between what he could achieve this time as to what he could achieve last time. And it wasn't towards the good side of things.
So they fixed it.
In their opinion, maybe, not my personal
opinion. That's my cynical.
Right. Yeah, they fixed it all right. But yeah, I'll be honest. If next bounty comes out looking kind of like this bounty was, I probably won't even join to just do the grant thing because it's pointless, you know.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I got a ship build token, and like I couldn't really spend my tokens on it. I could have got the Indomitable Justice skin. I'm like, I don't care about that. So I ended up wasting my points on like 3 agility system 4s just so I could spend some points.
Could have done worse, I guess.
Yeah, you could definitely do worse. I spent points on what was that, the Atlas carrier paint job that one time when they had out the blue and yellow one and it was 20 million points. So yeah, I definitely spent my points on worse things. But yeah, I don't think anybody that I saw really had much positive to say about this last battle. Like, I think it ended up being what, like 98 people total in the game were able to get the ship and the special and the weapons.
Seems like I heard that somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was somewhere between 93 and 98. And when you're talking, like, I have no idea what the actual participation numbers were, but that's a very low number. But when you consider how OP that boat is at the moment, you know, that's probably a good thing for the balance of the game, that not that many people were able to get all of it.
Takes you all the way back to the original Dread Day, don't it?
Yeah, it really does. It really does. It's like, oh, here's this boat that's going to get in pretty much any base, and you're not really going to be able to stop it unless you spend a fair amount of time, coin, tokens, whatever on your base, and you have that great setup to get rid of it. So,
yeah.
But I pretty much everything I've heard, they're just walking everything, unless people happen to be on and they drive against it, maybe.
Yeah, and you're not going to actually hurt it. You're just going to actually hurt its support ships.
Right.
You know.
Let's talk about the FM. I know that's
That's a tender subject at the moment.
So I know who wants to start?
Well, it did not make me happy. I tell you, it's when I went in with a gunboat just to see what it looked like, and as soon as I saw the layout, it reminded me of that TLC that we had. Just I forget which TLC it was, but that last level was a bear, and that's try to keep it PG. And it turned out that I was right. Only it was twice the bear that I think that TLC was. So I lost my monoliths around the first turn, up at the top, and then I finished it with my icebreakers. But I ended up with a whole day's worth of repairs for 275,000 points. No, I don't think so. So I did 2 of them, and kicking myself in the butt for doing that. So I'm not doing the 115s because I'm going to need some major refits to do it. So sticking with the lower levels and back to grinding again. Not a happy camper.
Here's what I had to say about it, and I'm not going to be PG because this is the rant section of the show, and we put that clear dividing line so anybody who doesn't want to hear this kind of stuff can stop watching once we start doing this. But it's bullshit, dude. It's absolute fucking bullshit. I mean, the big problem, here's what I see the big problem in the 115 being. The 115, the big problem is the fucking fleet. That is the problem in the 115. You're basically, what they have done is, and by their own definition, garrison targets are supposed to have a few ships in there which are either stationary or very slow moving, that do some added DPS, but they're not supposed to be the major source of DPS. That is absolutely not what is happening in these targets. First of all, the ships are not stationary or slow moving. Once they trigger, they start running at you like a bat out of hell, dude. So right there off the get-go, you've already gone away from what you yourself said the targets was supposed to be in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of damage that those missiles are cranking out are fucking ridiculous. They're absolutely ridiculous. There is no way I should be taking that much damage from what should be the secondary source of damage in the freaking target. You know, I've been for months now, I've been doing my FM run through every week with 2 ballistic Zeloses. Go both run throughs, and you can do a pretty much instant repair with that particular fleet. I go into this 115. I'm rocking the target really good. You know, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm going in, I'm rocking the target. I'm killing the buildings, I'm killing the turrets, taking hardly any damage. And then the fleet comes out. Well, you know, ballistic Zeloses, and I'll be honest, they're not the ideal boats to be hitting this target with anyway, because their ship DPS is low. But in the current in the past 113s, I was able to kill the fleets fairly easily. In the current 115s, I'm barely scratching the paint on those things before they kill me. That is a crock of shit. The fleet should not be dealing that much damage since it's supposed to be the secondary part of the target. I'm sorry.
Those fleets are like times 10 what I think they should be.
Even if
there's too many in there, number one, they're way OP.
Yeah, I'm not even so much concerned about the number as I am the fact that they're so OP, you know. I mean, and yeah, there's way around doing them. Like I did a 115 earlier today for like 45 minutes damage, and I would go in, I'd use my Z-Luces until I would trigger the boats, and I'd run away with my Z-Luces and time out, and then I'd bring my icebreakers in, and I'd kill the fleet, and then I'd be flopping back and forth. But for something that is such an essential part of this game, and something that is now way more time consuming than what it used to be, I shouldn't have to be swapping fleets in and out, in and out, in and out to do one fucking target, dude. That should not be happening.
At the stage that a lot of the players are at, you shouldn't have to grind your FM. It's like another raid on top of the bounty raid on top of the real raid. And it's just, I think they're stretching it, right? The string's about to break, I think.
Yeah, I know a ton of people, and I mean a metric shit ton of people, that if they do not make changes to the FM the way it is currently, those people won't be playing anymore. I mean, there's a lot of people who currently have already quit because of this current FM.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if they change it quickly, I think they're in a position where they can still get those people back. But if they do not, especially tone down those boats and that target, it's done, dude. It's done. I know we all say, you know, this will be the final nail in the coffin, and we say that a lot. But this is one of the few times that I truly believe that if they don't do something about it, this will be the final nail in the coffin for a lot of people.
Well, that's true because, I mean, to be honest, those people, the FM is how they progress in the game. And if you cut off their progression, then they just become stale. Why would they hang around for that?
Everybody I know, every show that I watch, every page that I look at, everybody that gives advice for BP says, you got to do the FM. If you can't do the FM, you can't play the game. So what this Kixeye do is they make it so that even higher level players are into grinding freaking targets. And it's like, what do the lower guys do? Yeah, they didn't change the only 2 targets, but only 2 targets was enough to really, I'll say it, fuck up the game. And it's personal opinion, but I'm not happy. I'm not going to be coining a single thing in FMs. I never did, and I don't plan to.
And I mean, you know, we always complain about how much time chores take, how much time chores take, how much time chores take. This is something that's repeated over and over and over. And what have they done? They have pretty much doubled the amount of time, at least doubled the amount of time that your FM is now going to take, because you have to hit at minimum twice as many targets as what you had to before.
Exactly.
To get the same amount of shit.
And they never told us about this timer business either, that now you got these timers to contend with.
Oh yeah, I was absolutely freaking hot about that, dude. You know, I'm like, oh, I got 6 days to do the FM, and then I look and you see the countdown timer for the chest, and it's like, what do you mean I only got 4 days to redeem this fucking thing? You never said anything about that before. You know, I don't know. The 3 things I think they could do to get rid of a lot of the animosity that's currently out there. Number 1 is make that fleet in there do reasonable damage. And when I say reasonable damage, I'm not talking kick's eye reasonable. It costs me nothing, no time, and no coin because I get my coin free on the test server or on our development server type of damage. I'm talking about reasonable damage for the guy who doesn't coin and has to slow repair. I mean, I would love to see them in their development stuff for them to have to slow repair everything all the time and not just be able to auto repair shit, because they have no concept of what it is to have to slow repair everything.
Well, take it a notch worse to them. Don't give them the top notch stuff. Give them the stuff that's second rate that the little guy has to use. And maybe you'll notice that you do need to go back and address those older hull repair times and build times, because it's a shame that a hull that's a year older takes longer to repair and takes longer to build than the ship of today. A lot of that backlog needs to be addressed for these guys that are growing up in the game and trying to start making it in that same situation, you know. They got less to work with, and it takes longer for them to repair than it does us, and we're having a hard time. So, I mean, you can only imagine what it is for them.
And I know I'm staying focused on this bounty dog shit slide, but it pretty much sums up how I feel about the current FM too. So I figure I'll just leave it there. Is the second thing they really need to take a look at is, in my opinion, either the points that the target pays out or the points of the prizes, because that in itself is what's adding to all this extra seat time and all these extra targets that we're going to have to hit. You know, I mean, we're asking for less shores, and you fucking doubled the amount of time that we have to spend just on this one shore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm so upset that if I would let myself, I would just start like yelling incoherently right now because I'm that mad. You know how sometimes when you get really mad at stuff, you just start yelling and you're yelling words that don't make any sense, but it makes you feel better because you're yelling. That's kind of where I'm at right now with the FM.
Well, it's turned into a job.
And not, I've also seen it, and I've been a part of. It's making people in the game so frustrated that they're actually taking it out on each other and becoming very short with each other in the social aspect of shit. And, you know, and that's what keeps most of us in this game anymore. I think it's the social aspect of things. And if you fuck something up so bad that even in the social aspect, people are starting to snap at each other and be short with each other, then you're really on a horrible downhill slide.
Agreed.
So let me ask you guys, in the current 115s, those I don't know if you guys, how many you guys have hit and how many you've succeeded in. What is your current strategy that you're using to do that?
I'm using my Zempis, my Zelos Imperium Prime fleet, and I've got it. It's 2 hours per target, so half a ship. I got 2 tanks, so I just do 2 of them and slow repair for that time. This is what I've been doing. It. I mean, it really freaking blows, because I could do all of my FM both times through and not even kill the Zelos one time. And
You're people who are using the Zelos MP fleet, they really got the shaft on the repair token part of it, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, that was total crock of shit to give the general, the garrison fleets, what was it, 24 hours worth of repairs?
Yep, 24 hours.
And I got 6 for what I use.
Yeah.
And to be honest, this is the fleet that they told us to use. I mean, it's in the FM for the FM. Same way the Punisher and the Citadel is in there. The Zelos and the Empyrean was pushed out through the FM for the FM. And, you know, because I didn't have the top-notch fleet, I get less because of it. What the fuck?
Well, one thing I did notice that in the prize structure now, that the icebreakers and the monoliths are in the prize structure now, but it seems to me they're at a point in the prize list to where almost to get the monos or the icebreakers, you have to have the monos or the icebreakers.
Yeah.
Because I don't see Punisher Citadels being able to accomplish that target goal real easily, if at all.
Especially with the lower tech that those people would have available to them.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't. It's a big mess. It's truly a big mess.
You know, that was one of George's biggest swipes on that. See, I know nothing about the 88 target. I never hit the lower targets, but apparently he had worked it out for people. That was kind of the gateway target.
The 88 target is pretty nice for
newer players and coming back players and stuff with those fleets that was in there, the tokens that were given to get the start. You know, everything was in line. Apparently, there's not a way to do it like that no more since they buffed it up to the 89. I mean, just totally neutered a majority of the community in that respect.
Yeah,
you know. What the fuck are you doing? I mean, that's what's on everybody's mind. You know, what are you smoking? What kind of pills you popping? You know, what the fuck are you thinking? That's what on is everybody's fucking mind right now. Yeah.
And I think to me, the biggest disappointment is their total lack of communication on the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like saying we're taking time and gathering the feedback, or how long does it take you? How fucking long does it take you to gather the feedback that everybody fucking hates it? How long does that take? I knew that within the first fucking 30 minutes. You know,
Shit blew up.
It doesn't take 2 days for you to gather information and be like, yeah, we fucked up. This is what we're gonna do to fix it. That doesn't take 2 days to figure that out.
I'm sure it wouldn't have been very hard to pop out the 113s to fix this problem right now, if they're unwilling to pull. But I'm on board with a lot of other people. Just roll this shit back.
It's either roll it back or at bare minimum. Either roll it back or at bare minimum totally neuter the fleet in the 115.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, they shouldn't have those ships moving out there anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you need to do something. You need to do something, not just have your head in the sand and act like everything's fine in the world around you. You need to, I'd say, get out in front of this, but it's way too late to get out in front of it. You should have gotten out in front of it yesterday. But you need to retroactively do something and do something quickly before you lose most of your player base.
You might have just said it, but I'd be okay with that 115, if not the quantity and the heat that those ships are dealing out. So if they have that or even more, because they can really trap you if you're not watching. You can get into a spot where you got them coming from 3 directions, or they at least make them so you kind of one-shot them, you know, or at least like the other targets. The basic base change didn't upset me all that much because it's just a few extra cold snaps. which, yeah, they can deal a little more damage if you don't handle them right, I guess. But for me, it's mostly the fleets. Right, wrong, or indifferent. That's the way I feel about it.
And like, you know, I put up on our page, it's like, okay, a thing saying, okay, well, what do you find the most distressing in this target? Because for me, it's the fleet, and pretty much everybody that commented on it said the exact same thing. The fleet in there is what's the problem.
Yeah. Fleets plural.
So if Kicks, if you're watching, and I'm sure if you're not watching currently live, you will eventually be watching this show. My one bit of advice to you is do something about that fucking fleet. If you do something about that fleet, 90%, well, maybe not 90%, but a large percentage of the complaints would go away.
Yeah, I watched a video guy doing with fairly low repair, but using 3 different fleets in and out of the target. Hey, that's not FM. That might be raid. That's not FM.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm going to do something fun here real quick for a minute. I'm going to do a little interactive bit. Just people who are currently in the chat, you know, there's a decent little bit of you in there chatting. If they would tone down the fleet and the 115 drastically, would you be satisfied? Just a simple yes or no. This is going to take a minute for the chat to catch up. So
they might tone that down, but that I don't know what the issue is in the 88, but that would need to be addressed as well. You know what I mean? And to be honest, the what I've noticed, what I noticed on my first time doing this right here. Okay, before a person could go out there and easily hit a couple of centers of the 113s, right, and get their 50 million, and that gets you tier 4 before, all right, and that got you every prize in that round for those 2 targets. Now, for myself, I've got enough points to be able to get tier 5, the 5th prize pool 5, one of the prizes in there. But instead, I started buying up the prizes from prize pool 1, and I made it all the way up to prize pool 3. With as much work as it took to get to prize pool 5 one time, that's what it took for me to buy everything in prize pool 3, up through prize pool 3. To me, that doesn't seem like it's making it easier on the lower player like they were stating that it does. If he couldn't get the points before, he's not going to get anywhere near close enough to get what he needs now.
Sure as heck not now.
And just a little side note from my little makeshift poll that I just did, 95% of the people in chat said if they neutered that fleet, they'd be happy.
If the fleets were like in the 113 and the basis stays the way it is as the 115, I would be a yes myself, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, so for the 115 target, there's your simplest answer, Kicks. Like, totally redo the fleet that's in there, and 85% of the people will be maybe not thoroughly happy, but they'll be complaining a whole lot less.
Yeah.
And I've already brought this to their attention through, you know, private chats and whatnot, but we'll have to wait and see what happens from it. But just know that that is something I am myself and people from the other pages are seriously talking to them about, is that in our key estimation, that is in that particular target the thing that needs to be addressed.
Yep.
So we're fighting for you guys. Whether anything comes from it or not, who knows, but just be aware we are fighting for you. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up today's show.
Cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.
Yeah, I haven't got much to add to that, bro.
Yeah.
Just
Let's
sitting on
good luck to you.
I mean, in closing, I'll say, I know you're a business and I know you need to make money, but you don't need to squeeze us for every last red cent we have in every aspect of the game. And I think that's where I'm going to close it off tonight. Thanks, guys in chat. I appreciate you participating. If you like the show, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you share it on your pages so we can get this information out to other people who might find it useful. And thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you next time.
Laters.
Good night.